Graeme, who I'm about to speak to in this video, is one of our OG clients who went from being an electronics hobbyist to employed engineer to then quitting his job and starting his own controls and automation business. And now he's able to deliver and support full automation projects end to end. So from specifying, design, to control panel wiring and testing, to installation, commissioning and maintenance. And I want to quote two things Graeme mentioned in our conversation. The first thing being, it blew my mind how much my company was spending for control panels and the amount of people involved in delivering automation projects. And then secondly, he mentioned you can earn such good money if you're the person who can do it all, which is what he does now, delivering all types of different projects in different sectors, specifically though, focusing on renewable projects for businesses like European Marine Energy Centre. And if you ever want to reach out to Graeme to get some help with some project work, you can find his LinkedIn profile in the description. Now, let's dive into the conversation.
Mate, thank you. I really appreciate you doing this second time around. For anyone that's watching in the future, me and Graeme have already done this, but I forgot to press record and Graeme very kindly offered to do it again. So thank you, mate. You just have to let everyone know again, because we've obviously lost the original. You just have to let everyone know again how doing the program turned you into a millionaire literally overnight.
Yeah.
So yeah, just make sure you include that again, please.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah.
So yeah, like what were you doing before you came across finding like control system specialist and what I do and stuff? Like, what were you doing back then?
Well, I'm in my early 40s. Spent a lot in my sort of 20s and stuff like that. I worked for companies where I sort of learned a lot of electrical stuff. It was mainly electronics. I was kind of electronics hobbyist. I then went to uni in my early 30s. First college, night classes and stuff like that. Then I went to uni, did a degree. Came out of that. That would have been about 7 or 8 years ago, I think. And then I got a job in Glasgow, where I'm from, and the company that was a kind of start-up. When I got in there, it was clear that they didn't have anyone that did sort of electrical stuff. And they had quite a few panels made for them and stuff. And it would be my job to modify them and make them work properly and everything. And through that, I got a lot of experience kind of looking in them. Some of the places we worked with, actually, I didn't say this last time we spoke, but we worked in a data centre for a while, and there's lots and lots of panels in there. And I just got intrigued by looking in panels and things like, what is all this stuff in here? How does all this work? From there, I learned to read schematics. And then it got to the point where I was being asked to sort of spec them and do scopes of work and then put them into tender. And did that for a few things. It was just the costs that blew my mind that the company was spending on this. And eventually I decided, well, I'm going to start building some panels. The simple ones, I'll build the simple ones. But it was the cost and the amount of people involved in building a panel.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. So the business that you were working for, were they spending a lot of money on like subbing it out? Is that what you're saying?
The thing that struck me was the amount of people involved. So I would write a scope. Some guy would come and look, check things over. He would write a spec up. Somebody else would draw it, and then it would go to a panel builder. He would build it. Some guy would bring it there, install it on site or wherever we're putting it, and then maybe a couple of days later, a week later, or something like that, a commissioner would come and commission it. And then maybe after that, some other guy would come and make some modifications to a program or something. And there was just a lot of people involved in it, and it just took a long time to get everything done. And I realised that it's possible for one person to do all those jobs.
Yeah.
If you can, you're very, very useful people. You can earn good money doing that, and that's what I've been doing since then.
And we touched on it on the last time we spoke. Like, this is the thing, when you've got like 5, 6 different either subcontractors or departments, and you're having to hand it over. It's just like recipe for disaster. The more people that are involved, the more chances there is for miscommunication and then problems, and then like overrunning in terms of time, more cost. It's just there's inefficiencies in it compared to one person being able to do the whole thing. So was that then when you started like doing some Googling, YouTubing, and then came across some of the stuff I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, when you first see in a panel, you see all these things in it, and you don't know what any of it is, so you have to look in panels, take photos of it, go and find out what they do. And I didn't say this to you last time, but I like following guys on jobs on Instagram, so plumbers and electricians, and see what they do day to day. And I went looking for panel building type things, and there wasn't any until I found you, certainly in the UK. I said that I think I found you on Instagram first, then I seen you had a YouTube channel. I started commenting on videos, and then probably because I was one of your sort of early subscribers, you reached out to me when you decided you were going to do the program, and I signed up for it. Maybe one of the first, I don't know.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, you're one of the test group, mate. You were one of the first guys. So what was it like you were really trying, like at the time before going through it? What were you struggling with or trying to learn specifically?
Building things has never been my problem. I've always been building things through my career, doing different things. A hobbyist maker of things. For me, it was the documentation and the design that really mattered. Luckily, the company that I worked for previously, there was no one else there that could read the electrical schematics. So even if I did make them, no one would look at them ever. And a lot of the panels that we built were built quickly for kind of short-term projects where they'd probably be taken apart and things anyway afterwards. Sort of data logging projects. But towards the end, I did start to build things that were going to have to last. And that's when I did struggle with the design, making good CAD diagrams and the documentation. And that's what most of my focus has been on with your course, is that part of it.
Like when I sort of presented the program to you and sort of encouraged you to get on board, did you have any initial concerns or hesitations before pulling the trigger and moving forward with it?
I mean, it's a bit of an investment, but I suppose the concern was, well, how long is this course? Am I going to get this done in a weekend, or is it going to be weeks and months? It turned out to be weeks and months. It's a big course. There's a lot in it, and you can, watch it over and over again, which I still do. There's still bits, especially in the documentation side, where I look over it again. So that was only apprehension, but it was unfounded because it's such a big course, and because it's a real project as well. It's not a kind of test thing. It's an actual real project that you might come across in the wild. A BMS system, which is in every building built now. There's a BMS of some sort. No, I'm very glad that I did it.
What can you offer? If a business comes to you, what do you tell them that you can help them with?
Well, electrical design is definitely one thing that if they just wanted a design for something, I could provide that. I can also do panel building. Having done quite a few now, I've got plenty of photos of the sort of work that I can churn it. My work's generally neat and tidy, so that's can be quite impressive. But I can, if it's not too big for me to take on myself, I can take on an entire project, which I've just done. I've done absolutely everything in it, including ordering all the parts and delivering it to site. So I can handle the whole thing now.
How does that feel? Being able to deliver whole projects?
It feels good because you get all the wages for it as well. You got the money. You're not paying anybody else. I don't have any subbies on this particular project. And you're just being very useful with people. You're worth a lot of money if you can do all of those tasks. Even project managing yourself is worth a lot of money to a company.
Going back to what we talked about earlier, like to a business, like you're a subcontractor, but it's even more valuable to a business because they only have to deal with you, one subcontractor, for the whole thing. Like that just removes so much headaches for them as well. That's another value add. If you had to choose one thing from the program one thing that helped you the most, what would you say that was?
The documentation and design stage of it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's just essential to have good design and documentation. Especially my own experience of mucking about in other people's panels when there isn't good documentation. Just tracing a single cable that's not labelled right can take hours. Maybe, try to find out what it does. There's another project that I'll be working on soon, the panel that the equipment's in. There's virtually no documentation. It was built a few years ago, not really finished and commissioned. There's a program running on a PLC. No one really knows what it does. It's almost better to start again.
Yeah.
And that might be what I do if I can't figure out what it's meant to do and what it does at the minute. Yeah, definitely the design documentation for me, Chris.
Yeah, I see that all the time in projects where like things just haven't been done to a very good standard in the first place, but then the client can't get hold of the original installer or panel builder, whoever it was, and then someone like yourself or me goes in there, and you're trying to translate kind of what they've done, and if they haven't got good documentation and things have been modified, it's just such a nightmare and takes so much time to try and translate it all so you understand it, that it sometimes is just easier, quicker, more cost effective for the client to actually just rip it all out and start again.
Yeah, especially if the client doesn't actually know what it does. They just know that it works, it does whatever it does, but they don't really know how it does it.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. They just know it's not working at the minute.
Now, what you've just watched is a snippet of the full conversation that I had with Graeme. If you want to listen to the full uncut chat and really get into the details of how he went from electronics hobbyist to self-employed automation engineer delivering full projects, you'll find the link to that full conversation in the description. And if you're watching this thinking that's exactly the sort of work I want to be doing, specifying, designing, panel building, programming and commissioning projects just like Graeme does, you'll also find details in the description on how we might be able to help you do the same thing.